Okay, guys. Today I'm gonna be touching up on actual law enforcement basic training and training altogether, and it's quite a bit of a vague description of actual different types of departments offering different types of training for different types of positions. But to get started, first of all, I'm old school, so I'm way before criminal justice was actually offered at a lot of community college levels. Now it's quite often. It's actually, I think, an associate degree is in criminal justice actually offered by community colleges. Uh, but you'll sometimes hear representatives from actually each police department or sheriff's department or a local PD after a negative incident that they will follow up with offering training, offering actual courses to kind of combat the negativity that was brought on by a certain incident. I just want to explain that to you guys real quick because the fact that it's very very vague, and it is up to each individual officer to actually um, pursue these types of actual courses, right? So, for example, if one was to actually to want to actual go in more depth about actual policing of the community, that actual department would have to actually locate um, somewhere nearby or not that close by. You could actually catch a flight to these type of courses, and who was ever offering that type of actual course. So that department itself will not be offering that type of training because they don't have instructors to facilitate that actual requirement. So you would have to actually look outside for a course that's being offered by a private company or by the state or by a federal level, right? But it is your responsibility to actually to pursue these types of courses, and not everybody is willing to actually to take that extra initiative to actually better themselves, better themselves on them skills, right? For the fact that once you go through the academy, the basic training, I mean, you go in there for first aid, not to be confused with CPR, regular first aid, a baton, self-defense, weapons. Back in my day was radio operations. Now it's more of a computer skill, patrol procedures. That's your basic. And once you get that, once you've been certified, and you've been sent to your actual department which you're going to be working out of, that's it. There's no follow up actually on okay, you've had so many hours on the road, you need to actually touch up on radio operations or computer skills. There's that is not in place. You would think it would be, but it's not. And so for you to actually to qualify now, you actually need 2 years of actual college, or military can fill in the requirements for that. And that's why before I was even hired by DOJ, they suggest to me that I would actually have to go into the military in order for them to actually fill in the requirement for their actual positions. And I was going to college. I did go to college for 2 years, but not to get to the degree that they actually were looking for, or any kind of equivalent to a degree of that sort. And not to be confused with actual like the human resources types of training. That's different. There is human resources on site to actually help out with actual sexual harassment courses, like anti-bullying and counter corruption stuff like that. You can go to human resources, and they can actually offer the actual explanations and the actual I guess checkoff sheets for your yearly annual eval, that they can offer. But these other courses, like say for example specific training course, you know what I mean, that you're certified to give a DWI test. You actually have to be certified to actually conduct one of these tests out in the field. And also like a baton, you can tell by a person carrying a baton that they can actually handle themselves with that stick. You know what I mean? And not all officers will carry a baton because they are not certified on that and they don't actually know how to use that baton. And a lot of them just carry these sticks that you just kind of like they come out, you know what I mean? They get large and then they just start taking to you instead of the finesse of the actual baton and swinging it. And that's totally different. That's more of a martial arts skill than an actual just a stick to be hitting somebody with, you know. And you might even notice, like in commercials, these law firms, or you might, if you get a speeding ticket or a DUI, you'll get these brochures over the mail for lawyers saying that they can almost guarantee you to get you out of a speeding ticket or a DUI. For they actually know the actual statistics for each station. And for example, say you got a DUI or a speeding ticket, right? And they know at that particular police station, there's only 2 vehicles out of the whole fleet that actually have a speeding gun. So the chances of you getting a ticket by a speeding gun are fairly, very rare. Probably the cop is or the officer's actually guessing your speed. So that's how these law firms know the actual the percentage of the actual training of each department, and they can actually use that to your advantage to get you out of a speeding ticket, a DUI, or any kind of traffic infraction. And that's how they go about getting your odds to actually beating it for you. You know, that's how these law firms actually prepare themselves with the knowledge of the training of each actual police department. You know, and once you start doing that, you know, it falls back on the actual individual. You know, and actually individual that actually wants to better himself and wants to actually touch up on the stuff that you've actually learned at the basic academy. But if you look at a lot of court cases, a lot of officers come into question because they've been in the department for 15, 20 years, and they've never attended an actual follow-up course since they actually graduated from the actual academy. And they've gotten comfortable in their position where they don't need this, they think they don't need that, but at the same time, they're not bettering themselves and the community by actual training that can be offered to the community. And these guys have no actual courses in their actual file that they've attended since graduating from the basic academy. And this is 15, 20 years later and not one course. That tells you a lot about the actual department too. And also you have to consider that if there is funding for them to send you to certain academies, to send you to different courses for you to come back and actually share that knowledge with your department as also an instructional tool. Also, you can look at it that way also, you know. And a lot of these small towns, or not even that small towns, they don't actually require for these officers to attend these type of courses for the fact that they cost money. They cost money, right? And also when you have to consider if someone turned out to be a bad cop, okay, literally bad cop, okay, a criminal, you know, be aware that not all recruits are polygraphs. You know what I mean? When we went through, they were called lie detectors. You know what I'm saying? And so we were actually psych evaled, and luckily, you know, for me, you know, that went well. You know what I mean? To tell you the truth, I don't know if I would have passed the polygraph. They will dissect you, and it's hard to actually to conduct that type of test for all recruits. You know, it's a lot of time consuming and it's expensive too. So you also have to consider that part. As for post 9/11, unfortunately, these academies they kind of lean towards military style training. You know, and the focus ratio on that, it's 8 hours of, like, for example, 8 hours of firearm and self-defense to 1 hour of actually community policing. And that's the type of actual hours that you're looking into, because they want a well-trained officer that can defend himself that's well with firearms. And I understand that, but you also have to consider that hey, community policing is a big part of your job too. A lot of hours are actually are done conducting these type of actually community policing, and that's where we tend to spend less time in, and that's not cool and everything. And I understand that you want to see who you're hiring and everything, but the last thing you want to do is you want to hire an actual cop that learned his actual skills from a TV show. And trust me, they're out there. When I was barely turning in my background check, I went into to actually my recruiter's office and to turn it all in, and I see a individual roll up in a Crown Victorian with two spotlights. But I thought he was an officer, so there for conduct business and everything. Turns out he was a recruit just like me, but rolling up in a unmarked Crown Victorian with two spotlights to turn in his background packet. And if he got hurt, I don't know, but I mean that tells you a lot where he's coming from. He's already got an unmarked vehicle. He's not even hired yet from law enforcement. So that's just a few things that you have to actually consider. And when it comes down to these actual when they say we're going to actually offer more training, offer more actual courses, and unfortunately there is no answer. There is no fast answer of how to actually correct this situation with law enforcement, but hopefully it's not too late. Hopefully it's not too late. And from what I'm seeing, from what I actually experiencing out here in the city, it's no good. It's no good all the way around. So let's give you guys a little info on actually how it works. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Thanks a lot.